Today, she announced that with the help of Elon Musk, she's suing Disney.
A hashtag calling for her firing was trending yesterday after the actress compared the divided political climate to Nazi Germany.
Gina Carano was riding high on her Mandalorian success until one post flipped everything. She dared to draw a parallel between today's political climate and Nazi Germany, refusing to bow to Hollywood's demand for political conformity. She's since become a symbol of defiance. But here's the question. Has Carano's stand revealed cracks in Hollywood's woke facade? Or is this just the start of a bigger showdown?
The outspoken conservative played former Rebel Alliance soldier Cara Dune. Mandalorian producer Lucasfilm called the comments abhorrent, but this isn't Carano's first controversial post. She has previously mocked wearing masks, people's pronouns, and claimed voter fraud in 2020's election.
Gina posted a message comparing the way people are treated for their political views today to how the Nazi regime influenced citizens to turn on their neighbors during the Holocaust. She was trying to make a point about how political intolerance can spiral out of control, pushing people to turn on each other just because they don't agree on certain issues.
Lucasfilm has dropped the Mandalorian star Gina Carano after a social media post comparing being a Republican to being Jewish in Nazi Germany.
Disney didn't waste any time after that. They decided to let her go from The Mandalorian, and she was effectively blacklisted from any future Star Wars projects. They said her comments were unacceptable and didn't align with their values. People were quick to accuse her of being insensitive and even of trivializing the Holocaust, which fueled even more outrage online.
The hashtag #FireGinaCarano trended on Instagram yesterday. Lucasfilm spokesperson says her post was unacceptable. Carano has faced controversy in past social posts.
After that infamous social media post, Disney wasn't just expecting an apology from her. They wanted her to align with their idea of what was socially acceptable. Part of that expectation was that she should add pronouns to her bio, but Gina didn't want to do that. It wasn't because she was anti-trans or didn't support their rights. She just didn't believe in being forced to express her support in a specific way. For her, this felt like conformity, and she wasn't about to go along with it just because it was what everyone else was doing.
She said we need to clean up the election process by putting laws in place that protect us against voter fraud. She said screaming at someone that they're racist when they're not makes you a coward and a bully.
Gina's refusal to fall in line sent a strong message, and it put her right at odds with Disney and a huge swath of the public. But instead of bending to that pressure, Gina decided to stand firm. She was willing to accept the consequences, even if that meant losing her role on The Mandalorian, because she wasn't about to say things she didn't believe just to stay in the public's good graces.
Everything she said, I've said, you've said, isn't that controversial, except to Disney. So they fired her. Quote, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable.
Of course, this stance only fueled the fire. Cancel culture thrives on these kinds of conflicts, and Gina became its latest target. People weren't just disagreeing with her, they were trying to erase her altogether. People labeled her as anti-trans, anti-Semitic, and pretty much every other label that could paint her as a villain. It was an all-out attempt to shut her down and silence her voice.
But Carano says Disney hunted her down. Quote, my words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right-wing extremist. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing and destroying and making an example out of me.
But Gina wasn't having it. She refused to apologize just to get the heat off her back. She didn't try to appease the critics or backtrack on her beliefs. Instead, she stayed true to herself, which is almost unheard of in Hollywood, where most people are quick to issue an apology and try to get back in the good graces of the public. Gina, on the other hand, took the backlash head on. She didn't let cancel culture scare her into silence.
After all of the things said and done by actors and actresses of all political stripes, you were specifically targeted.
Oh, that's a good question. I think maybe because I'm a bit unassuming.
Here's the thing. After everything went down with Disney and the backlash she faced from cancel culture, you'd think Gina Carano would have disappeared from the spotlight, right? I mean, that's usually what happens when a celebrity gets canceled. But Gina, she did the exact opposite. It's kind of wild how much her fan base grew after she refused to apologize or conform. People who were tired of Hollywood's political correctness and cancel culture started rallying around her.
I am easy to work with, and I think sometimes, if you asked anybody on that set, they would say, I was the most non-controversial person. But I think, like we've seen all over America, a lot of us are getting sick and tired.
One of the best examples of this is her appearances at conventions, like Fan Expo Vancouver. Normally, after someone's been through a public controversy like that, you'd expect crowds to shrink, but not for Gina. At these events, she's pulling in huge lines of people eager to meet her, take pictures, and show their support. It's like her authenticity has become a magnet for fans who feel the same way about the state of Hollywood. Gina stayed true to herself, and people noticed.
What I've learned is that if this can happen to me, this can happen to anyone. I'm easy to work with, and I am passionate about what we do. I'm always excited to be on set. I even worked with them as much as I possibly could to resolve any issues that they had. But, eventually you have a line, and, when that line gets crossed, you just have to say, enough. Enough is enough.
What's surprising and kind of refreshing is how she's handled all of this. She could have easily tried to smooth things over with Hollywood by taking the usual route of carefully crafted apologies and interviews to win back favor. But Gina chose to remain outspoken and authentic. That's what resonates with her fans. In a world where so many celebrities seem to be walking on eggshells, terrified of saying the wrong thing, Gina's approach feels real. We all know that Hollywood is about as liberal as it gets. It's a place where certain views are almost expected, and if you don't toe the line, you're likely to get pushed out. The industry has this unspoken rule: conform or get out. They embrace this so-called woke ideology. Gina's defiance is a direct challenge to this system. Hollywood likes to think of itself as this beacon of diversity and acceptance, but as soon as someone steps out of line or doesn't repeat the right talking points, they're shut down. Gina didn't just get canceled because she made a controversial statement. She got canceled because she refused to play by Hollywood's rules. What's even more fascinating is that Gina's success, in spite of the backlash, could actually signal a shift in the entertainment industry. People are starting to realize that there's a growing audience out there that's tired of the one-sidedness, the expectation that everyone in the industry has to think the same way. Her popularity proves that there's a hunger for voices that break the mold. It's like she's paving the way for others who might be afraid to speak up, showing them that you don't have to be part of the Hollywood groupthink to succeed. In a way, her defiance has sparked a kind of silent rebellion among fans and even some insiders, who are beginning to question just how far Hollywood's ideological reach should go. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.